Let's go.
Okay, Flick. Round 3. Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, it's only taken us about 7 months to get to this point, but we're finally pulling our fingers out.
We are. Guys, we started a podcast back in February. The episode never actually went anywhere. It just sat on the hard drive, and every day we're like, all right, we're going to edit it. But then our year's just been absolutely wild. Flick, you've been off commentating around the world on the WSL, and I've just been doing
having the year of your life. You've been having the year of your life.
Crazy year. Wow, it's actually been wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hence why we ended up just not doing anything with it. And then also we filmed that first podcast, and then you turned into a redhead.
I know.
And and I feel like we were just like, we can't just have like one episode of you being blonde and then one
Hi guys, I'm red.
and now I'm red. But also we filmed that after our Hawaii season, and now we're here. What date is it? It's October 30th. And we're here in Narrabeen in my apartment, where we literally did our first episode back
February
in
27.
Yes. And now we're starting, and we're actually doing it. This episode is going to see the light of day.
So I reckon, first up, why are we starting this podcast? I feel like there is so many other bloody podcasts out there. Why would you want to listen to us? Our whole 2 listeners right now.
Yeah, totally.
And your mum.
Yeah, me, you, mum. Except mum she's going to listen and watch about 30 times. So she'll get our view count up.
Yeah, a few downloads. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, Says. Love ya.
Why? I reckon we've got 3 reasons, right?
Yeah.
First one, I found a quote actually back last year. Blake Lively posted it, and I feel like this is the very reason for
when you showed me this quote, I got tingles, and we were like, we have to do this. Like it hit a chord. It struck a chord, and it's so true. And I think to any woman out there listening, and men, like, it'll be relatable.
And it really speaks to our episode name, Best of Frenemies.
Yeah, we've decided to call our first episode Best of Frenemies.
So this is the quote. Blake Lively posted it, and she says, "When I grew up, women were always pit against one another. It took me until adulthood to see that the instinct for women to lift each other up to their highest potential is the norm, not the exception. Most of my best friends are women who would have been packaged to me as threats or competition. It's our job to show the younger generations that there's power in aligning rather than dividing."
Yeah, absolutely. Collaboration, not competition. And it's so weird. We have been competitive surfers our whole entire life. We've been on the same. We're going to get into our backstories and more about our friendship and how it's grown and changed and blossomed, I guess, in the last couple of years. But, we were pit up against each other as, teenagers and into our 20s and seen us, our management calling it just like threats, like exactly like Blake had mentioned there. And it's only been in recent years where we decided, oh my goodness, what have we been doing? Like we get along so well, and we do all of the same work and jobs and
we operate in the same space basically have the same career trajectory our whole lives, and it's taken us until we're 30 to figure out that we're better off together.
And then you find someone that's like got a screw loose just as much as you and loves to charge 30-foot waves, then you got to freaking go surf with them. And we do it, and we have so much more fun. Honestly, we have a lot more fun than when we go on the trips with the boys. So I'm just like, where have you been all my life? What have you been doing?
I feel like that sort of takes us to our next point of like, it's taken us until we're 30 to figure out we're better off together. But I feel like that's also our next point of like, hey, we've had to constantly reinvent ourselves our whole career, sort of break the mold, pivot, change. And like we were sold this sort of other narrative that like, hey, you have to have it figured out by the time you're 30.
Totally. Yeah, just basically had that fear that by the time I was 30, I wasn't still going to be able to be doing this and living this life. And but I think
there's just the expectation you're going to have it figured out, right? And some people do. Bloody clap to you. But then also some people don't. And I just think just a nice reminder to everyone and anyone that's listening that you don't have to have it figured out, and there's opportunity. There's always another day to figure it out, to like re-pivot, to sort of like rebrand, jump into the deep end essentially.
Literally jump into the deep end, because it's literally never too late to chase a dream and do what you love. And that's what we did with big wave surfing. I left behind professional surfing and the world tour, something that I'd worked towards my whole life, and then just threw it away and went, I'm going to be a big wave surfer, spent all my money, then all the rest of my money on rehabbing the injuries from that sport. And everyone at the time was like, you are absolutely crazy. Like, you should just you're in the peak of your sport there. why are you shifting? But I just had to do it for myself. And even though it was scary and intense, you know, we both did it, and it's just been the best thing in the end because we're living our truth and we're, you know, being authentically ourselves and having a great time doing it.
Yeah, and I think that, okay, and brings us to our last point of like we're speaking about big wave surfing, right? And it's a male-dominated industry. And when we did pivot into that, I think we had this like perception that, oh, we got to shrink ourselves or like sort of fill those shoes of what a, in quotation, big wave surfer is, right?
Totally.
Which is powerful, strong, very much leaning into that masculine. And I feel like that was really squashing a lot of who I was as well. Like I really love to be like feminine and lean into that and have that soft side to me.
It's like we felt that we weren't going to be taken serious if we were too feminine in this male-dominated world. And I know that a lot of other women have felt that out in the big open wild. And, I think like even our whole life, if we look back at it, at some stage or another, we felt like we've had to be squashed into a certain box and we've had to fit the mold. And I think this whole podcast is about breaking the mold. You know, we've been so good at stepping into the unknown, especially out in the surf and being fearless out in the water. And now this is our time to be fearless, break the mold and just come into our power here on land and find our voices and have fun. We want to get amazing guests in here that like we know that have, you know, jumped into the deep end. We want to get mothers. We want to get businesswomen. We want to get athletes. We just want to hear some epic stories and be inspired and also just have a fucking good time.
100%. I think
have
it's
some good yarns.
have some good lols, some good times.
Yeah.
Because we're just two girls in our 30s just trying to figure out life. Like we don't have it figured out. And well, you're living, inevitable that shit's going to go wrong and you're just going to have to put one foot in front of the other and figure it out. So,
and people from the outside could be like, oh my gosh, you know, they've got it all figured out, but absolutely not. Like we are literally two of the biggest airheads. Hence why we literally had to hire someone to help get this podcast off the ground because we're very much good at being in the present, but when we're out into the open world, we're just a couple of Bambis.
Hey, when it takes planning and organisation.
One foot in front of the other. Yeah, planning and organisation is not our strong point, but yeah, we're here and we're doing it and we're ready to challenge ourselves and step into the power of planning and
organisation and Excel spreadsheets.
Oh my God, don't start me on Excel spreadsheets.
Fire away with your Excel story, mate. It is a cracker.
Oh my gosh. Basically had a pretty important meeting and sat down with my big girl hat and my notepad and it was
What was it for? It was for coffee. It wasn't a coffee collab?
Yeah, coffee collab. And basically at the end we had this great meeting and the guy was like, all right, so how do you want to do this? Should we go with Excel? And I was like, Excel what? And I thought like, oh, Excel coffee bags. And he goes, Excel spreadsheets. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that is check, didn't finish school. Like she did not go to high. She did not finish the HSC.
Look, relatable, right? Like I was at home trying to put together a Google Doc for our podcast and my brother, who's like a high school teacher, had to sit down next to me and be like, do you know about Google Docs? And I was like, no. And he's like, I don't know if you would pass year 7 right now. But anyway, shout out to Lukey Boy for helping me put it together.
Oh my gosh, proud of you. I probably didn't give you enough props when you sent that through. You're like, I've made a Google Doc. Okay, we have to make sure that whenever we do something like...
Stepping into the unknown. Yeah. We're breaking the mould here.
Yeah, breaking the mould with our fucking spreadsheets. And it's so funny. My friend Chloe is like obsessed with spreadsheets. Like we'll be going on a trip and she'll send like a spreadsheet of like...
Oh, the itinerary.
Yeah.
Check. Breakfast.
Yeah. Oh,
brunch.
Gosh, everything's in a spreadsheet. It's good. Actually, Jakey, my husband now, he loves a good spreadsheet as well. And I'm just like, I put it in some weird filing cabinet in the brain that usually...
You got a system.
Yeah, usually gets things wrong, that's for sure. But okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We literally did like a 15-minute recording before and I just was like, hold up, stop. I'm not in my body. I was in my head. I had a computer there with the notes.
We had to shut the laptop. It was too much for Laura.
Shut this laptop and we just need to have a chat.
Get out of your own way, Laura. Get out of your own way.
Yes, I love that. Quote of the day, get out of your own way. Get out of your head, into your body and out of your own fucking way.
Yeah, we love it.
Let's talk about how
our origin story.
Yeah, our frenemy
story.
Our friendship origin stories.
So our origin story is pretty funny. We're basically carbon copies of each other on opposite sides of Australia. I'm on the West Coast growing up. Laura's on the East Coast, and we met when we were about 10 or 12 years old.
Yeah, our first ever Grom comps. We were both like little blonde-haired little rat kids running around, just having the best time, like living the little Grom dream as little surfer kids.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, we went through the Grom comps into the Pro Junior Series. We were competing there together.
Things were getting a bit more intense then.
Yeah.
You know, you're in your teenage years, getting a bit more competitive. And then we rode for the same brand together for a long time, maybe 10 years. We went away on trips together, boat trips.
Yeah.
And during that time, we would get along like a house on fire, and it'd be the best time. And we'd leave the trip and it'd literally be crickets.
Totally.
And we'd be like, I feel like I should be friends with Laura.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we were on the world tour together at the same time. And, you know, so we were just competing and just traveling around the world and doing literally all the same things.
Yeah.
And then we moved into big wave surfing at exactly the same time. We were both invited to the first ever women's big wave event at Jaws.
Yeah.
And we actually stayed together there. And I remember we were like, I was there with my brother and you were there with your manager, and we were just like obviously competing against each other, but kind of like kept to ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like we still had that competitive thing, and we were obviously both shitting ourselves because we were about to surf Jaws for the first
Biggest
time.
waves of our life.
I think that was when things started like breaking down a little bit, because we were like, we're not competing. You don't compete in big wave surfing.
No,
Well,
it's all for yourself.
You're out there for yourself, and you're out there in the gnarliest, scariest waves. And you, I mean, I know some guys put competition in there, but you know, we have the bigger competitor, which is trying to survive and catch a wave and be in that lineup. And we pushed each other.
Yeah, we did.
That's
We
the thing.
did.
We've always
rode a wave together.
we actually rode a wave together, but we have always pushed each other our whole life. We've been competitive.
And then we pivoted both in a little bit into WSL commentary, and so we've basically lived the same life.
Yeah.
And it's literally taken us until we're in our 30s to realise that, wow, we're better off together.
Totally. We are better off
Hey.
together. Collaboration, not competition.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I would not have caught my big wave world record wave if you weren't out there. We were actually both paddling for that wave together. And
even like aligning rather than dividing, like it just comes down to that whole first very reason of why we're doing this podcast. And it just, I don't know, our origin story really hits home, and
it
and
does.
it
I'm
hits
proud of us. It's like once we decided there is space and room for both of us, we were almost like we were pitted against each other, and it felt like there wasn't enough space for us within the brand, within the world, like within just surfing, and there just so is. And it's just we want any young girls out there, any young boys, anyone to know that everyone is so authentically their own self, even if they do the same job, like literally the same job.
Yeah.
We've done all the same things. And there's space for everyone to be themselves and thrive and be loved and supported and encouraged. And that's what we do now. And it's so much better.
How much more empowering is it? How much better do you feel knowing that that's all removed and there is no comparison?
It's
just
we're
gone.
actually so much alike. We're so alike, and obviously, like, I reckon you're a bit wilder. We're both wild.
We're both wild, mate, in our own way.
We actually are so freaking similar. We both got like pretty spicy ADHD brains. We're bad at planning, but we are creative and fun. And we just realised that, oh my gosh, if we're going to go surf the most scary, dangerous waves in the world, why not do it together and have the most fun doing it? Like I wouldn't want to travel with anyone else. And that's why it's been so sad this year that I haven't been able to have that with you. But
I know.
onwards and upwards from here.
This is our year.
This is our year.
Well, the next year. Next year's going to be a better year for me, guys.
Yeah,
it's going to be better. We'll get into that. But it's going to be better.
Yeah, we'll get into that soon. But next 2025 is the year of us.
I guess like now maybe we should give a little life update
Oh my
because
God,
you
yeah,
literally had the best year of your life. Like I want you to give us like the rundown, like talk to us. Like you've got, eloped in Ibiza, you won a world record, like had an incredible year, surfer of the year for the big wave season. Like just talk us through it because it's pretty incredible.
It's been a freaking crazy year. I mean, I think, the coolest years of my life for sure. I mean, it's I started off the year being announced as the world record holder for that wave that I caught in Hawaii last year, and then went on to go on a couple of amazing surf trips down and like to these slabs in Australia. Shipsterns was one of them. Went to Cloudbreak and then towed into a wave over in Tahiti at Chopu. And then I got announced us the surfer of the year, big wave surfer of the year. And so that was
That was only a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that was only a couple of weeks ago. And then in between that, I threw in a secret elopement and over in, yeah.
So
I wish I
good.
could roll. See, I can't roll my tongue. You can be there. Yeah, to anyone else that can't roll your tongue, I feel you, I see you. I must just have a really short tongue, sad. But yeah, so I eloped over in Ibiza, had the best time ever. It was like kind of like the worst kept secret. The rings went in the water. It was absolute chaos.
It was such a special wedding though.
It
Like
was
how
really
cool to
special.
the way you guys did it on the boats and just in Ibiza and it just looks so beautiful. Obviously,
I know.
so
And it
sad I
was-
couldn't be there.
I know. Okay, and that
We'll get
was
into that, but well, I think
totally.
we'll have to do a separate episode on like your Ibiza elopement,
Yes,
and
let's
then
do a separate episode for
because
sure.
there's so many questions, and I know that got a lot of attention because it's so unique and so different, and it was so
Totally.
beautiful.
And
so
I was like, for one, I hate planning. I was like, I just do not want to plan a big wedding. My head will blow up. Like I just cannot do that stuff. It's just not my forte. So I was like, let's go to Ibiza. I found that cute little boat and I booked it. And then, yeah, we just had some of our best friends come. And unfortunately, you couldn't be there, Fleet, because you have had quite a fucking year. Like, you have had a freaking wild year. And it's hard for me to talk about, like, all these things in my year because yours has just been, like, a freaking whirlwind.
It's been a bit of doom and gloom, but you know what? Like, I think it's actually. Well, yeah, okay, it's funny. I think it's
No,
actually
like, we
more
can
funny
actually-
than what
you've
it
always
is sad.
You've always been really good at like making light of lots of shitty, wild situations, and I feel like you just don't get given a break. I think someone's got a voodoo doll and they're freaking. We'll get to that. Anyway, talk about your year,
Yeah.
because you have been one of the most resilient people I've ever like. Even just being here, you're so strong, and you've been dealt some cards.
Yeah, so this year for me, like Laura said, we started off in Hawaii together. It was, I was like peak fitness, super healthy, super ready. Like, and I'd had a good winter the winter before
And we
in
had
Hawaii.
like all these dreams for
Us
big wave
together.
surfing, and we literally like made this list of like all these waves we wanted to go to together. Like I wanted to do all those waves with you this year, and then
Perfect use of the button.
that was really sad.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, really fit, really ready. I was over in Hawaii. I based myself there for 3 months, and yeah, I flew to California to chase a swell, and it was basically the first swell of the winter. And I was going to check the surf that morning, and I tripped on an exposed tree root and broke my foot. Like the worst possible break that you could do.
Wow.
And it's called a Liz Frank injury. Anyone that's ever done that knows how it is.
Yeah,
And I
clumsy
didn't know.
motherfucker.
I know, so clumsy of me. But I didn't know at the time how bad it was. I was like, oh yeah, it's just like, it's fine. It's not too bad, da-da-da. And then it just progressively got worse and worse. This bruise started showing up, the swelling. And I was like, oh, this is not looking good. So I like went down to California. I got some like different opinions. Doctors were starting to look at it, surgeons, and they're like, you've done your Liz Frank, mate. Like, that's not a good injury. You're
And
going to
that
need
is like
surgery.
you have to have surgery for that, and you're out for 6 months.
Yeah, I remember I called you. I sent you for a mini podcast, probably like, I've broken my foot and my whole big wave season is over.
It was so sad. Fuck.
Yeah, it was
so
really
shit.
gnarly. And so
Don't be a victim.
that's pretty funny. Anyway, so let's just fast forward through that. Anyway, had to get this surgery. I'm out for 6 months. Like, obviously, as an athlete, you're using your body as like for your job. Everyone does. Like, obviously, injuries suck, but when you're an athlete, it sucks even more. And so, obviously, dealing with that, I got the surgery in California. Flew back to Hawaii. Laura and I were there together, and she was basically like my little caddy, helping
And then
me
you
around.
kind of had to shift your whole year really, and just go like heavy into the commentary world, because
Yeah.
obviously you can do that with a broken foot. Like you had to kind of just like come to terms with the fact that all your dreams and plans for the year just gone out the window. You worked so hard, you're at peak fitness, and then now you have to do, which is a commentary job's amazing as well, but it's just obviously it was different to what you were expecting for the whole year.
Yeah, like I love doing the commentary. It's good, and it's a way for me to keep involved with like the core surf, and I love that. Obviously, we both do. We're
Yeah.
both competitive surfers. That's like our bread and butter. That's what we grew up doing. But for me, I just feel like obviously I had those intentions, like we both did, to
Yeah.
go surf all these waves together, to go on all these like travel the world together, chase swells, and that was just like ripped away. So instantly I was like, ugh. and trying to adjust to that mentally and just reframe and be like, it's okay. Like, you're just going to have to watch professional surfing in the best waves all year while you can't surf.
Totally.
So that absolutely sucked. And I guess like going on in the background of all of that, let's just say I started the year off married and came to the last WSL event of the year. I was in California and I woke up after the event that morning and I had this extreme pain in my stomach. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is so weird. And I was like, maybe it's just like period cramps or something. You know, you're a woman and you're just like, oh, it's just some cramps. They'll like go away. Like, what, it will be sweet. And it was with a couple of my work girlfriends and they're like, look, if this doesn't get better in the next couple of hours, we might need to like get you looked at.
Yeah. And then you thought maybe appendix?
Yeah. And so I started obviously Google.
Dr. Google.
This is my symptoms. What do I have? And it was like, you have appendicitis. Go to emergency surgery straight away. And I was like, oh! And anyway, we go to urgent care. Get in there. They pregnancy test me. They test me for a UTI. Ruled on out. I'm like, whew. And then anyway, they're like, because considering how much pain you're in, I was like literally almost fainting. They're like, I think you need to go to the emergency. We think it could be appendicitis. And I'm thinking,
wow.
uh-oh, this means another surgery.
In America.
Yeah, California. What's with me in California? I need to stay away from that joint.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, what's going on? Anyway, so get to the emergency hospital. They get me through. I go do the internal ultrasound, the pelvic ultrasound, all these scans. And they're like, we're just going to put I think it's called cannula drip thing in your arm. We do this with all our patients, but then we're going to put you into a bed. And I'm thinking, hang on a sec, why am I going into a bed? Like, aren't you just going to give me some pain relief and I'm out of here?
Totally.
And they're like, no, the doctor needs to come and speak to you, the surgeon. And I was like, oh God, like this is getting heavy. And then the surgeon comes in and they're like, look, I don't know how to say this, but you're going to need emergency surgery. Your ovary is twisted and we only have 3 hours to operate and save it.
That is so heavy. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And so I'm thinking,
in a foreign country, you potentially have...
You kidding me? And she's like, okay, I'm going to give you some morphine because I know that you're in like extreme pain. So anyway, they put the morphine in and I'm like, woo, feeling so good.
And then went and got the surgery, but then they opened you up and then realised that they had to close you up because they couldn't operate on what they found.
I know. So they opened me up. I got wheeled out of the surgery. The surgeon says to me, it's so weird. She's like, so we went in there and it wasn't a twisted ovary. And I'm thinking, excuse me? And she's like, no, we went in and we found a tumour that's attached to your bladder and it's potential that it could be cancerous. It's 15 centimetres big. And
could have been growing for how long?
15 years.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, one day you're perfectly healthy. The next day you're contemplating, fuck,
and
like,
then they
do I
said
have
that-
cancer? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's so radical. And so anyway, she's like, it was beyond my pay grade and my skills to like take out this tumour. So, and plus like there was a chance that if she couldn't take it out through the keyhole surgery, she would have had to slice me straight through the middle. And she's like, I don't want to do that without your consent. And I was like, thank you for not doing that because I would have like a massive scar here. And so she said, if you get one more knock to the stomach or if you do anything strenuous from like going to the gym to working out to swimming to surfing to anything, you could potentially rupture it and bleed out and die within 30 minutes. And I'm just thinking, how can my life go from, like, I thought I was just recovering from this foot thing I was feeling. And I was going to the gym.
I know. You had been on an
so
absolute roll. Like, you were freaking just,
And then,
back.
to go,
You're
holy.
like, I'm back, next season is coming. And then all of a sudden, just like another blow.
Yeah.
So brutal. Like, someone's got a voodoo doll on you, I swear. We're going to send you to Reiki.
I know.
My Reiki chick.
I know, 100%.
Are you into that sort of thing?
Look, not as much as you. Obviously, I've known you for a long time and I know that you've been saying this Reiki healer for a long time and you speak very highly of her.
Yeah. She'll just tell you straight what's going on. But like there could be someone like hooked into you I don't know. That
At this
you
stage
just
in my
never know.
life-
I'm sounding very fucking woo-woo.
I'm ready to try anything, Laura.
I-
We've had a few oopsie daisies this year, but I just want to update everyone. So I get back to Australia because she sewed me up and the doctor's back in Australia looking at me like, hey, none of this makes sense, all your doctor's reports. We're going to have to do our own like specialist. So anyway, go to see the specialist back in Australia. They're looking at it. To cut a really long, boring story short, turns out I don't have cancer. Turns out it isn't a tumour in my bladder. Turns out it's just this other sort of rare tumour that grows in the nerves of your spine. It's called a Tarlov cyst. Anyway, I could get surgery to get it removed. However, it would be spinal surgery. Now, it's really hard to tell, is the pain that I had in California, was that actually from this tumour? Because my specialist, the gynecologist, oncologist I saw, said that he reckons I had a ruptured ovarian cyst, which is super painful. They misdiagnosed it in California, cut me open because of it, and then found this other tumour just serendipitously, like, whoa, okay, here's a tumour, what do we do?
Whoa.
And so maybe I never would have known that I had this in me.
Never have known that you've had this cyst for 15 years.
I know.
And this other burst cyst, oh my gosh, that is just absolutely wild.
Freaking roller coaster. But here we are, and I'm actually really in good health.
And they've told you now that you're, like, unless there's any pain or anything, so you've obviously decided not to operate on this cyst. Yeah. It's going to just be sitting there, like, benign and dormant in you, just like it probably has for the last 15 years.
Exactly.
And then until there's any sort of issue, that's a whole lot of... You're amazing. And here she is still laughing and, like,
still
literally being the most, like, epic legend. You make us all laugh every day.
Oh, thanks, sis.
And, yeah, it's been a bloody whirlwind for you. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's been a lot, but I think it's just funny when you juxtapose, like, our lives this year.
And it's, like, so hard. It was, like, so weird for me to even just be like, yeah, this is what I've been doing. And then I'm just like, yeah, we've obviously been through it together. Like, I was so bummed that you couldn't be there in Ibiza because you're obviously just fucking the greatest
that's the other
time
thing.
ever.
Because of my emergency surgery, I couldn't come to Ibiza. Like that, actually, I sent Laura one of my podcasts and I was like, I can't come to Ibiza. And I think that was the thing I was most upset about. And then my dad was like, what about your health, mate? And I was like, but I can't party and go to Laura's elopement. He's like, hey, pull your bloody head in.
Hey, we're going to go back there though. Let's go back to Ibiza next year and we'll book the same boat and we'll get married.
Work wife. And
maybe we could celebrate the podcast 1 year or something.
We're going to make it a 1 year. But, we got fun to look forward to at the end of the year.
We're going back to Hawaii together because they're both invited into the Eddie Aikau event, which is a big wave event. It's at Waimea. We are actually the first two Australian women ever to be invited into the contest.
Yeah.
Go us. And, we're going to actually get to live because you're going to get rid of all the Reiki. The Reiki's going to clear anyone that's going to give you any more injuries or, like, no more exposed tree branches or whatever.
None of those funky little things existing.
And we're going to wrap you in cotton wool and we're going to actually go surf the most dangerous, scary waves in the world and you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah. I think so.
Got this. I guess what's next for you then?
So for me at the moment, like obviously I've come over here to the East Coast and thank you, Laura. I'm like literally Laura's about to leave to go to Europe. She's like, stay in my apartment. You can drive my car. I'm like literally Laura driving around right now. Laura with red hair. But yeah, I'm here on the East Coast. I'm here in Sydney for like probably the 10 days while you go to Europe. And then when you get back, we'll do a couple more things on the potty.
Oh my gosh. And we're going to do our cover shoot, which will be fun.
Yeah. So
that'll be really fun. We're doing all the things. And then, so I'm going to Europe tomorrow for 10 days and I'm doing like a bit of a premiere film tour over there and then come home and then, we've basically got like a month and a half until we go to Hawaii together, which will be so good. We can do a whole bunch of stuff together, train. I need to get into absolute boot camp because I definitely have had like a proper off season from big wave surfing this year, and it's funny.
You've had a good year. Enjoy yourself.
And I've been doing so many like interviews and media stuff the last week since I won, the Surfer of the Year. And part of me in the back of my head, I said to Jake, I was like, I feel like a bit of a fraud right now, just because I've come out of this off season when we got married, we went to Ibiza, we were like having a great time in Europe, and then I've just been doing a whole bunch of other stuff. In the last month, I went back to America. Oh my God, I went to America and I went to Vegas for the first time and I went to the wave pool and did that jump into the hamster ball.
We'll have to post that. That thing's hilarious. Oh my gosh,
that was
We'll
hilarious.
reshare that on our socials.
So basically I was in this wave pool and we were, they had all these like big pool toys. It was like this huge hamster ball and I decided I was going to jump off the wave because I can't, anyway. I decided I was going to jump off the wave and try to land in the hamster ball. And I went like 100 miles an hour, slammed into the back of the wall, and I literally was like, wow, did I just dislocate my shoulder?
Need a chiropractic appointment.
Yeah, and then, anyway, I was fine. I just couldn't really lift my arm up for like the next few days. Went to Portugal, got there, had the wildest 1.5 days in Portugal. It was nuts. Left my toiletry bag in America, arrived to go to these awards with no makeup, no moisturizer, not even a toothbrush, no heels, was like driving around Portugal, like trying to like trying to buy like all this
You've
shit.
just had a bid on. Like, it
Yeah.
feels like, we
But
were
it
saying the
was-
other day, you've just committed to so much, which has been
Yeah,
epic. Because of course you want to do all that.
I was like a big yes girl this year, and what goes up must come down, because I landed home. I went to the awards, had a great night. Do you know what I did the next day? Set my alarm, because I went to the awards and my flight was at 11 a.m. the next day, but I had to leave where I was in Nazaré at 7:30 a.m. to get to this, an international flight. My 7:30 alarm, I set it for every Monday.
Oh my
gosh!
So no alarm.
Oh
no
yeah,
alarm.
no. So woke up at 10:30 a.m. Literally just like, oh my gosh, because I was so jet lagged and like I'd just been running on adrenaline, and like so I just did not wake up. I woke up and I remember just looking at the window going, it's way too bright to be 7:30 a.m. right now. Oh my God, looked at my
Totally missed your
phone
flight.
and it was 10:30 a.m. The flight was at 11, missed that. So I had to race to the airport and I just had to get back to Australia, almost missed my flight back to Oz. The people at Qantas were so amazing. I got there like 55 minutes before the flight and I don't know how.
Before an international flight.
And they let my bags through. I literally was like crying. I was like, please. I had to get home because the next day I had like
all this media lined up in Australia.
Had the media, had everything that like had planned for like a week. Had planned for a couple of days, and like all that media got locked in. And then I literally was like, oh my gosh, almost. Anyway, so I made the flight, got home, and then
Whirlwind of
obviously
media.
had a couple of media days. Then I crashed, got really sick. And so, now I'm on the other side of that. We're back. What goes up must come down. It's just, it happens. And now I'm ready for my life of health and wellness. And basically, I'm going to have a big wave boot camp.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll kick into it once you get back.
Because, I'm looking at Flick's guns right now going, far out. I would drown right now if I went out in a big wave.
I've got nothing else to do. I've been twiddling my thumbs at home in Western Australia I may as well train.
I literally did an interview last night. They're like, how long can you hold your breath? And I was like, right now, probably 25 seconds. I'm like, but at my best, 3.5 minutes. You can't always be at the peak. And I think that's like, we're just excited to have you guys come along on all of our adventures and journeys, all of our big wave adventures, and then all of our just life shit.
Yeah, life updates.
I kind of feel like
we're coming into an interesting time in our life.
We're coming into it's going to be the best season ever.
Yeah.
It is. It's interesting. It's, your life is bloody wildly chaotic, and it's just going to get, can't go fucking down from here.
No,
we're only going up.
We're going up.
But
I think it's important. I think that's like also, what a way to wrap it up. Like, we just really want to get a really engaged community, and obviously it sounds like a bit of a dickhead saying this, but like anyone that's listening to this, like follow us on our Instagram, like our In Deep podcast, like TikTok. We're going to have a YouTube.
Oh my God, Flick's in charge of TikTok.
Slay.
Okay, that's kind of scary.
Don't let me rogue on the TikTok.
Oh my God. Yeah, literally every time I jump on TikTok, I'm just like, Flick.
What rogue thing has Flick done?
Yeah, she's TikTok is all about the entertainment, and she brings it. So we'll hear, that's a whole nother podcast.
Oh, it is. But no, we really want to have an engaged community, and like,
any questions you guys have, send them through for our next episode. But I think basically we haven't even got into it, but Flick has, we're going to basically do like a more in-depth backstory on both of our lives and growing up, and Flick is like far out. She could have an absolute book. So I just will.
Well, both of us. I feel like I can't wait to get into both of our backstories, but we'll do a separate episode on each of us so you guys can like really get to know us.
Totally. Sorry in advance for the swearing. We're going to try to tone that down because my dad hates when I swear.
Does he?
Yeah, he really hates it. Like, even if I swear like at the dinner table, he'll just be like, Laura, stop that. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
I'm really fucking sorry. Anyway. All right, guys, we'll love you and leave you. So I guess we're probably going to be asking a lot of you guys over the next, for however long we do this podcast, but we want to hear who you guys would love for us to get on the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll,
send in your questions.
I'm just absolutely babbling on right now. We probably just lost our followers.
Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. We love you.
Yes, love you guys.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Cheers
At one.
to,
Done and dusted. Here we go. In deep. We're jumping in.
Jumping in deep.
Bye.
Bye.